Cruisers flying Concorde formation, followed by the White Concorde as they cross the south coast. This little exercise has taken about a year's hard work and planning by the RAF and the Red Arrows, British Airways, the BBC, and the captain of this ship, the QE2.
For anyone who's the slightest bit excited, that must be the television picture of the decade.
Welcome back to Shipfaced, everybody. It's wonderful to be here for Queen Elizabeth II's final chapter. As always, for this model and others, head to the Facebook model company Yestertoys at the link in my description. Where we last left off, Queen Elizabeth II had entered the Blom and Voss German shipyard for her most extensive refit to date. Cunard had lost a substantial amount of money in engine repairs throughout the years thus far for QE2, and in looking to the future, decided to completely overhaul her engineering department from steam to diesel. The largest and most expensive engineering refit any ship has ever experienced, QE2 was the last steam-powered vessel and became diesel-powered. As a result, she needed a much heftier, wider smokestack, and the 75-foot tall behemoth was installed, and the Queen was crowned, as it was called. To celebrate the QE2's new lease on life, Cunard Line wanted a very special guest to invite charity organizations and other esteemed representatives to celebrate a gala event on board, and alas, none other than the People's Princess, Princess Diana, graciously accepted the invitation and also invited 400 children and families from local hospitals to celebrate the event with her. Speaking of famous guests, Nelson Mandela and rock star David Bowie were among some of the A-list famous passengers that QE2 has carried, including Julie Andrews, as well as Rod Stewart, Elton John, Elizabeth Taylor and her partner Richard Burton, and Buzz Aldrin. However, transatlantic crossings for QE2 did not continue to be fun and games. In 1995, Commodore Ronald Warwick was in command of the Queen during Hurricane Louis. The Queen was finishing a world cruise in 1995, returning to Southampton, and in the middle of the South Atlantic, at 2 o'clock in the morning, QE2 was struck by a freak, rogue, 95-foot wave. This wave, according to the Commodore, looked as if the ship was heading straight for the cliffs of Dover. The wave smashed across the bow and did break bridge windows, but aside from bridge windows breaking and railings along the bow bending under the pressure, there was no significant damage to the ship or to any of her passengers. Upon returning to port, the ship and crew were commended for their ability to keep the ship steady during the insane hurricane. A few years later, on September 11th, 2001, RMS Queen Elizabeth II was scheduled to arrive in New York Harbor, just like at the end of every other transatlantic crossing. However, on this particular morning, she needed to be diverted to a much safer location, as our great and beautiful country was attacked in an act of cowardice. As time went on, Queen Elizabeth II, though extremely beautiful, was beginning to show her age, and Cunard needed a new liner to carry the company forwards into the future, and had just recently, in 2004, launched their new flagship, Queen Mary II. At a touching send-off, Queen Mary II and Queen Elizabeth II exchanged whistle salutes as Queen Mary II took the mantle of flagship status. A few years later, in 2008, Cunard Line announced the retirement and decommissioning of Queen Elizabeth II. to be sold to Dubai to become a hotel. Paying tribute and respect to Queen Elizabeth II's service to Cunard Line, being the longest running ocean liner in their history at 40 years, and also paying tribute to her wartime service, Cunard Line arranged the Royal Air Force to drop 1 million poppy petals as thank you to QE2 for her service to the country during the Falklands Islands crisis. Time went on, and finally the day came for Queen Elizabeth II to make the voyage to Dubai. For most of the journey, her sister Queen Mary II sailed in tandem, until finally Queen Elizabeth II parted ways and carried on the rest of the leg alone. After 39 years at sea as an ocean liner for Cunard Line, Queen Elizabeth II had sailed no less than 6 million nautical miles and carried 2.5 million passengers. And she brought to a close what had been a colorful history.